Hey, friend. Welcome to Purpose Unlocked, the space where dreamers, doers, and changemakers like you come to build legacies that truly matter. I'm Christy Smith, your anti cookie cutter coach, sustainable legacy builder, and author of The Intuitive Entrepreneur, here to help you build a business that doesn't just look good on paper, but feels good in your bones. If you've ever felt that quiet pull for more purpose, more freedom, more impact, you're in the right place. Every week, we have real, unfiltered conversations about what it takes to build a purpose driven business and a life that actually feels good. You'll hear stories, strategies, and mindset shifts from visionaries who are redefining success their own way, authentically, intentionally, and unapologetically. Because this isn't just about growing a business, it's about creating a legacy that lasts. So take a breath, grab your coffee, and let's unlock your purpose together. Today, I want to talk about January, not as a starting line, but as a threshold. There's a lot of cultural pressure right now to treat the new year like a sprint. New goals, new habits, new launches, new versions of ourselves. And trust me, I have done it in the past and I have, just been sucked into all of that. But while momentum can be exciting, winter actually asks something else entirely. Winter, which is what we're experiencing here in the Northern Hemisphere, asks for orientation before acceleration. Because moving quickly in the wrong direction doesn't create success, it creates exhaustion. So, this episode is an invitation to release the idea that January is about doing more and instead explore what it looks like to use this season to see more clearly. Clarity is often misunderstood as certainty. We think clarity means having a full plan, the timeline, all the answers. But real clarity is quieter than that. It's kind of like a felt sense and a knowing of what matters and what doesn't. Winter supports clarity because it removes distractions. Fewer social obligations, less outward pressure, and more space to notice the patterns. In business and leadership, clarity shows up as knowing what to prioritize without second guessing, a feeling grounded in decisions even when they're unpopular, and being able to say no without explaining yourself. I often see people confuse speed with confidence, but confidence usually comes after clarity, not before it. And when you give yourself time to listen, clarity begins to form naturally. I once worked with someone who launched something new every quarter. I've done it myself. There's lots of people who do. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But when you look at it on paper, you get your big calendar and you're planning everything out and you're like, this is what's going to happen and then this. And it looks impressive, right? You're like, oh, all this movement, all of this activity. But a lot of times underneath, there's this layer of exhaustion and resentment. And a lot of times, people that I talked to, including this person that I worked with, it was that constant reinvention of themselves, right? Like I already did that. I already told everybody that. So I have to reinvent and tell them something new every single quarter. And that's where it leads to that exhaustion and resentment. And so the person that I was working with, we talked it through, we were working on it, and we finally got them to a point where they could slow down, like really slow down. And in that space, that's when they realized that the issue wasn't effort. Like they were over the top on the effort. Awesome, great job. But what they realized is it was the direction in which they were going, right? They hadn't paused long enough to ask themselves some important questions like, is this what I really want to be known for? Is this the business I want to maintain? Is this the pace? Is it like aligned with my life? Right? And when we did that winter pause, it didn't delay their success. It actually saved it because the answer to those questions for that person brought a whole new direction, right? So those questions are great reflection questions this time of the year, right? And we can pause, you can journal this, you can come back to it later, however you do your journaling. Maybe you don't even do the writing, you just go on a walk. However you do that, introspection, right? So here's 3 questions I want you to ask yourself to help encourage you to pause, right? And really evaluate. Get to that clarity. So, number 1 is, where am I rushing because I'm afraid of falling behind? Now, falling behind is the key because that means there's a comparison that's happening. Number 2, what feels unclear, and what if clarity is still forming? Like there's that sense where you have absolutely no idea what you're doing, right? And you're just going, going, going. And then there's like that in between phase, right? Like I'm not quite clear on this. I can feel it's like almost there. That sense, right? And number 3, if I trusted the season I'm in, what would I stop forcing? Right? You're in winter, slowing down. What would you stop forcing through if you actually embraced that season? All right, those are your 3 reflection questions. Now, every episode, I also ask you to do some action items. And I don't really they're not huge ones, right? I don't ask you to stop doing everything in your entire business and take a month off. Like, nothing big like that. They're usually just like small little things that you can do this week until I come back to you next week in next week's episode, right? So here's 3 action items that you can take in the next week. Again, week. I'm not asking you even to do them all today. So number 1 is choose one decision you don't need to make yet and consciously give it time. Okay. So you don't need to make the decision yet. You don't need to make the decision necessarily for what you are going to release in 4th quarter of next year, 2026. Well, and I say that because I'm recording this in 2025 right now. But a year from now, you don't have to have all that figured out, right? Not every single detail. So, what is a decision you don't need to make? And I want you to be very clear if it is an arbitrary timeline. Is it a timeline or deadline that you have given yourself, or is it a deadline someone else has given you? So also think that through. And then consciously give it time. What if, let's just say you are trying to decide what you want to release 4th quarter of 2026, and you give it 2 more weeks. You give it a month, right? What could happen in the month, right? You could release your January whatever you're going to release, if you're going to release anything at all. And you could get feedback in January on something that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm really excited about that. That's something I want to deal with. And I have a space in fourth quarter because I didn't plan it all out to release it, right? So you can use that feedback loop to your advantage. Just throwing it out there. You could also think about it and a month and go, I'm not excited about that. Like, I don't really want to talk about that. And then that's your own internal feedback loop, right? So take advantage. Number 2, replace one I should statement with I'm noticing. Right? I should release 4 programs this year, or whatever it happens to be. I should do 6 collaborations this year. Whatever your I should make X amount of money this year. And replace that with I'm noticing. And feel how different it is internally and where the focus changes to, right? Instead of I should exercise every day, I'm noticing when I exercise every day, I have more energy in the afternoon, or I notice that I burn out, and by the end of the day, I'm just mentally fried. So maybe I should choose a different exercise routine. What are you noticing? So change those shoulds, right? And number 3, schedule white space this week with no agenda beyond just listening, right? That white space gives you the opportunity. It gives your body and your mind the opportunity to be creative and to give you feedback that you need to hear. So take advantage of that. Sit in the quiet. Go on a nature walk. Listen to the birds. Whatever it happens to be. But make sure that there's white space in your calendar. Winter isn't asking you to stop. It's asking you to aim. Clarity is not passive. It's a preparation. And the vision you allow to form now will guide every step you take later. Thank you for tuning in to Purpose Unlocked. I'm so glad you're here. Every time you press play, you're choosing to invest in your growth, your purpose, and the legacy you're meant to create. That matters. If something in today's episode resonated, take a moment to share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because when one of us rises, we all rise. And if you haven't already, hit follow, leave a review, or share your biggest takeaway on social. I love hearing what's landing for you. Remember, you weren't made to blend in. You were made to lead, to create, and to build something that lasts. So take what you've learned today, trust your intuition, and go make bold moves toward your purpose. I'm Christy Smith, your anti-cookie cutter coach and sustainable legacy builder, reminding you that your dream isn't just possible, it's waiting for you to claim it. Let's keep unlocking purpose together.